A harmless mortal's backyard turns a demon king into dinner for cultivators. Spoilers ahead for this stretch of the Chinese manhua. Nianfan believes he is just a powerless mortal living quietly in a cultivation world, but everyone around him keeps discovering that his ordinary hobbies carry terrifying spiritual weight. His dog, his music, his garden, and even his casual kindness can change the fate of monsters and cultivators. The comedy comes from the gap between what Li thinks is happening and what the immortal world sees. While he treats life like a peaceful countryside routine, powerful beings are panicking, plotting, and trying not to offend the hidden expert they think he must be. The trouble begins on a bright mountain road, where a cultivation group moves through forests, water, and open scenery while discussing the aftermath of the fox incident. A gray-haired elder understands that the story is no longer contained. Once the world hears that the nine-tailed celestial fox was taken by the Li Immortal Palace, reckless hunters will lose their illusions, but stronger forces may also start moving. A red-dressed woman joins the deeper conversation, warning that the Fox clan may have older enemies still watching from the shadows. By night, the group accepts that most cultivators have scattered and the palace will not be easily found again. Then the scene reveals the massive purple presence called Silver Moon, turning rumor into a living threat. Elsewhere, a purple-haired ruler begins hunting for answers with the confidence of someone used to obedience. Her group moves through a settlement and follows signs of a powerful black-purple lightning bird, even using a pig-like tracker as the search grows stranger. The investigation erupts into water, storm, and violent lightning, pushing the chase toward a sea-like or icy spiritual place. When the bird is finally cornered, it admits that another Immortal Palace faction reached the target first. That failure nearly costs it its life, because the ruler sees no reason to spare a servant who loses to rivals. But the bird survives by offering something more valuable, the location of a celestial fox castle, and the ruler immediately redirects her fury toward attack. Back near the hidden side of Li Nianfan's world, Manyun and an elderly follower realize the Silver Moon Demon King has finally come out of hiding. He has been spreading news of the nine-tailed celestial fox to make others search for her, planning to strike once someone else did the dangerous work. Ordinary sects fear him because his cultivation is already at a terrifying stage, so no one wants to offend him unless survival demands it. Manyun, however, has the repaired heaven heart Zither and does not act afraid. She sees the coming confrontation as part of protecting Master Li's peaceful back garden. Soon after, a frightened six-tailed fox is hunted by monsters, and Manyun steps in, orders it to flee, and prepares to face the Demon King herself. The confrontation explodes across an outdoor cultivation landscape, first as purple-black energy and lightning crash through the scene. The older gray-haired man and the red-dressed woman are caught near a shadowy winged presence that keeps returning like a storm given form. At moments, the fight seems almost too large for the people beneath it, with dark wings, purple rings, golden light, and wide valley scenery turning the battlefield into a supernatural disaster. Yet the mood slowly shifts from frantic combat into a calmer exchange. The threat does not look completely erased, but it no longer controls the scene either. The gray-haired man and the woman can speak again while the dark bird-like being remains nearby, suggesting the danger has been contained, redirected, or forced into a pause. The elderly cultivator and the red-dressed woman cannot keep running forever. With the eagle-like Silver Moon Demon King closing in, the old man launches one desperate attack and uses a burst of power to create enough space to escape with her. The Demon King follows, consumed by revenge against humans and the Immortal Palace, imagining destruction as payment for ancient hatred. Then he lands before Blackie. To him, this should be an easy intimidation, just a demonic king facing a black dog. But Blackie calmly asks about a small eagle, and the balance of power flips instantly. Lightning crushes the arrogant monster before his threat can matter. Afterward, Blackie forces the witnesses to treat the defeated demon as an ordinary mountain eagle, preserving Li Nianfan's illusion of normal life. Li Nianfan walks home through the bright mountain path with Daji, Blackie, and several companions, completely relaxed after the outing. The huge eagle-like monster comes along as captured prey, not as a feared demon king, which is what makes the scene so funny and terrifying at once. Daji immediately recognizes the beast as the Silver Moon Demon King and struggles to hide her alarm. Nianfan simply credits Blackie for the catch and even asks Daji to praise the dog. She does awkwardly while understanding that Blackie's strength is far beyond ordinary logic. In private, Daji gives the captured beast a cold warning not to expose anything suspicious. When Li notices her serious expression, he only wonders whether she is upset. Soon, Uncle Yao comes to Li Nianfan with a strange request that seems simple on the surface. He asks Li to handle a small shovel task near a sprout, and Li treats it like ordinary help around the yard. But to the visitors, even this casual action appears meaningful enough that Uncle Yao stops him and accepts it as sufficient. Then the elder produces a huge ice-blue crystalline block, dazzling Li with its size and shine. Li interprets it through mortal logic, calling it something like a tool for making jelly, while Uncle Yao explains that it comes from a 1,000-year Xian ice mountain. The gift is absurdly precious, but Uncle Yao is not here for trade. He needs help, and Li's music may be the answer. Uncle Yao's request leads into a meeting of music rather than argument. Li Nianfan understands that the older man loves the Zither deeply, so instead of proving himself with words, he offers to communicate through sound. He sits in the courtyard with the instrument while the guests watch in anticipation, treating the moment with far more reverence than Li expects. To him, this is a polite performance for someone who appreciates music. To everyone else, it feels like standing at the edge of a spiritual ocean. The first notes create visible waves, wind, falling leaves, and an atmosphere that overwhelms the listeners. Their shock grows because Li is not forcing power at all. He is simply playing with sincerity, and that makes the sound even more frightening. The peaceful visit does not fully erase the tension outside Li's courtyard. A white-haired young girl and other companions spend time around him with food, tea, and anxious conversation, while Li remains calm enough to make the situation feel almost domestic. A strange golden burst around the girl suggests emotion, spiritual reaction, or both, but the calm cannot last. Night falls over a pavilion or sect area, and a black-robed attacker gathers dark purple power. The assault crashes toward the buildings, only to meet a large radiant force above the area. Whether it is formation, music, or spiritual protection, it pushes back against the hostile energy and leaves the attacker pressured. Then a pale, sinister figure speaks from the darkness, proving the threat has only changed shape. The darkness returns through a long-haired man in black robes, wrapped in an ominous aura that makes nearby cultivators recoil. His power spreads as smoke, tendrils, and red blood-like energy, towering over the smaller figures below him. The scene feels like abuse of power trying to swallow the battlefield. Then a purple-robed young woman appears in the glow and faces him directly, with other cultivators watching in fear and surprise. The clash shifts from pure attack into a strange reversal, as bright spiritual light presses into the black aura and the dark-robed man looks shaken, weakened, or forced into a painful change. After the confrontation, the story moves into a pavilion where people discuss an item over tea, and finally to a lone traveler heading toward a towering mountain-like destination. This stretch works because it turns cultivation power scaling into comedy without removing the danger. The Silver Moon Demon King is built up like a nightmare, feared by sects, monsters, and Fox clan allies. But the moment he enters Li Nianfan's orbit, he becomes prey, a secret, and almost a cooking ingredient. That contrast is the whole engine of the series. Li never needs to brag, because the world around him keeps interpreting his ordinary life as heaven-shaking cultivation. At the same time, the Fox rumors, Immortal Palace politics, Uncle Yao's request, and the shadowy attacks show that powerful factions are still moving. The joke is funny, but the pressure keeps rising because every miracle around Li attracts more attention. Subscribe for the next manhua recap, because Li's quiet life is pulling even bigger enemies toward his doorstep.